Scott Picken, Brendan Jenkins, and Jesse Clem. And I do want to just follow up on something that Joseph was saying. He has a whole folder of portals that they worked on that are actually here in the show that you guys can follow up with them as well. But if I could have the panel come on up.
It's all up here.
Exactly. Second nature. That's fast.
I just thought I'd find something right next to it. I'm still hot. I'm still hot. All mics are hot. That's a rule. Jesse Clem. Hey Jesse, you want to come join us?
Yes.
Hey, great.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm coming.
Let's go.
Sorry.
Woo, come on.
I was getting legal counsel.
What's that?
I was getting legal counsel.
Getting legal counsel. Don't answer any of Joseph's questions on the mic. All mics are hot. Standard legal disclaimer with Georgia entering the room. All right. I know you're all desperate to hear what I have to say about things and think, because we haven't had any of that. So, you know, Louis Feldman was going to moderate this panel. We were going to call it a Crossfire panel, and it would have made far more sense if Louis had been following me, and I had been following him yesterday, but Louis had an important meeting to go to. So he ended up leaving, so I ended up filling in here. And I couldn't be more excited because I really like this topic. So I'm not going to talk at all, really. I'm going to ask a couple questions to get us going of our esteemed panel. And then I know you all have lots of questions for them as well. So I'm talking really slow to get going because I think everybody's entering back into their coffee. So, you know, you've kind of all been introduced. I know that there's some new people in the room. You've all been introduced to the folks at the table. But I'm really happy because we've got folks who are really industry leaders in their respective industries who are actually doing this stuff. Some folks like Adapia from Patch of Land have really been on the forefront of doing this a lot longer than any of us. And their company's experience is so incredibly valuable. On the other end of the spectrum, we have Wealth Migrate, which has just launched their portal, but their team has been in this international investing space for more years than the aggregate seems possible. Fundrise is one of the market leaders as well, and Liquidia coming in brand new. We've really got a great mix. So I'm going to ask each person to introduce themselves and to tell a little. I sent them questions ahead of time, like a good panel moderator, and they're all kind of really boring questions, so I'm not going to use any of them. So I'd really like each of them to introduce themselves and do something a little bit different. I'm curious from each, what drives their passion for the 24-hour days and endless travel that goes into being part of this new industry. And I'm not really interested in a pitch for your company. We'll have plenty of time for that. But I'm really interested in introducing yourself and telling us why each of you are, where's the passion for this coming from? You want to start? Yeah, let's start with it.
Okay. Hi. So my name's Ada Federico. I have been an entrepreneur for a really long time. And before I actually branched out on my own, I was an intrapreneur, so I was one of those real pain in the ass people that management was like, what are you doing? We don't want you to fix anything, it's all fine. So in general, I'm very passionate about finance and capital markets. That was my original career before I branched off into intellectual property development and strategic marketing. But in general, I mean, this is an incredibly disruptive space, but disruptive without being necessarily destructive. There are a lot of highly intelligent people using technology and social trends to make change. And the thing that actually excites me the most is not so much, I mean, yay for yields for investors, I think that's fantastic. I'm actually really excited about the capital that can be put in the hands of people who are building, like literally building businesses, you know, obviously like the actual real estate. We work a lot with fix and flip and residential small commercial builders. So they're really doing a whole lot of good in their neighborhoods and their communities, and that really excites me.
I'm Brandon from Fundrise. I guess the passion came from effectively kind of experiencing the problems firsthand. We were, myself, some of the other partners were real estate developers before we started Fundrise. And we, you know, had gotten so frustrated basically with the existing capital markets and what it took to go out and raise money, and really the limited options that existed for anybody who was trying to do projects, create places, build things, sub-institutional in size, and that's really why we created it, was to solve a problem that we experienced firsthand. And from there, it's just been really exciting to see how quickly, you know, the idea has grown, how quickly it's being adopted, the fact that there are conferences where this is what you talk about now, when 3 years ago, you know, people had really never heard of it.
So hi, I'm Jesse. I think my passion for this is similar to yours, except I started investing on my own after I sold a previous business in real estate, and got really ticked off about underwriting standards and capital markets and trying to raise money, et cetera. And then, especially being in the Midwest, which is where we're focused, based in West Michigan, in the middle part of the country. It's a little conservative-minded folk that like your idea and think it's a good one, but moving them along and helping to grow a movement has been somewhat challenging until this movement has come around. So now we're seeing great momentum, great excitement to the industry as a whole, and especially around real estate for us. So I'm getting really excited about the opportunities to rebuild communities, especially the Midwest recovery, the communities that have been suffered through some of the economic downturn, et cetera. But with the opportunity that crowdfunding has given, and the leaders in this space, and the marketing and the conferences behind it all, it's going to be a transformative time, and it's exciting because it's the beginning of the curve, in my opinion.
I know that you don't really have much emotion that you bring to stuff, Scott, so yeah, just tell us where when you're trying to find somewhere you find it.
So I'm Scott from Wealth Migrate. My mentor is Richard Branson, and Richard Branson always says that you don't ask for permission, you apologize. And my philosophy behind that is that I did my dissertation in '98 about how IT could revolutionize construction and property. I'm going to use the word property because outside of America it's known as property, but real estate property, same thing. And at 21 I wrote it in 1998. You know, if you read my synopsis then, you would laugh because effectively it's crowdfunding today, 16 years later. And at 22 I was on a board level of a £100 million company, a property developer in London. And I effectively put an IT system across their platform. And the whole philosophy, and it's very similar when it comes to crowdfunding, is that the one-eyed man can lead the blind. You don't need to be an expert, you just need to know a little bit more than the guy next to you. And what really, really excites me is the way that IT can be used to revolutionize industries. And particularly in the real estate industry, it's a dinosaur. I mean, what we're doing now, if you know anything about cars, you've got lean, you've got mass, and ultimately, you've got craft construction. And real estate and property and development is as backward as cars were 100 years ago. And the beauty with crowdfunding is that we can jump through a couple of steps. And it's a bit like someone who's 60 that didn't know how to use a laptop, but just evolved straight from not being able to use technology to an iPad. And I think crowdfunding will be able to revolutionize this industry. And what makes me most passionate is, and I mentioned this yesterday, but only 12.9% of people on this planet have access to real estate wealth. And yet 49% of the world's wealth is held in real estate. And if we can just double that, our goal by 2020 is to double that worldwide, globally. I believe we can have the biggest impact on this planet more than anything else.
So since that was a really hard question, I thought I'd follow up with targeted really easy ones. Autopia, on Patch of Land, you guys have been around for a while, and I consider you one of the innovators and leaders in the space, and a very defined product. And as other folks move into this space and spend a lot of money on marketing and advertising and essentially end up in competition with you, does Patch of Land keep doing the same thing? Does it keep focusing on that? Or where's the innovation trend? Where's the disruptive innovation trend for Patch of Land in the industry?
I think that at this point it's not about disrupting anymore. I think that's kind of done. At this point it's just continuing to originate strong loans. I mean, at the end of the day, and from the perspective of the marketer, I suppose, you can't promote something that isn't a good product. And so while marketing and advertising is all well and good, you actually really have to focus on your core business and growing that core business, whether that's expanding into doing more loans, or going into like larger category, longer term loan, mezzanine, whatever we decide to go into. It's really just going to be more. It's just really going to be more focused on building a viable, sustainable business, because this isn't just an app like a lot of tech and a lot of startup. It's like this is something that needs a lot of regulation and compliance, like you said, and we're going to be dealing with people's money, and that requires a lot of diligence on our part. So that's actually going to be the focus. It's going to be more of like a growing up than anything.
Brandon, I love Fundrise, and it's obnoxious how many of our clients want to copy you, and I keep telling them you have to find your own path. And one of the things I really like on your site is the ability to go look at deals, but also to go in and form a relationship with the developer and the developer view on the site. I think that was fantastic. And I'm curious about the internal conversations around the business model of how do you maintain the standards of those high quality developers if the business model is focused on bringing so many more on? Kind of where does that line come that you're saying, you know what, we've got the best ones in the country, we don't need more, or how do you kick them off if they're not delivering, and kind of where does that curation of not just the deals but of these strategic partners that you've built?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely challenging because on the spectrum of people who build and develop real estate, it's very easy to know who's on the top, and it's not hard to tell who's not really real. The difficulties in between. I mean, for us, we're always going to err on the side of quality first and foremost. And one of the nice things about real estate as an asset to apply this model to is that it's very, very large. A handful of quality real estate players can do hundreds of millions of dollars of development in a single year. And certainly, on the investor side, we're just beginning to ramp up the amount of money that can be raised. I think the other big, really exciting opportunity with crowdfunding or just the idea of basically moving this process online is the ability to create a lot more transparency. I know I heard a few people talk about this yesterday, but one of the things that we're pushing for and moving towards is basically you'll start to be able to see performance track record from these people who are on the platform. So when you come on as an investor, if you want to look at the group you're investing with, you can see how often they've raised capital, if they've paid their investors back, if they've actually delivered on the performance that they're claiming, and that's something that is very opaque in today's world. And it's one of the great things about, again, moving this process online is you'll start to have this transparency where there's a lot more access to information.
So you're up next. Jesse, I just met you. Holy cow, the site's just launching, and
Yep.
man, where are you going to find oxygen in this space? What's going to be different? What's going to be the hook? Why should an investor come to you as opposed to the previous two brilliant companies?
I'm more brilliant?
Told you
No, I'm
it'd
just
be really
kidding.
easy
I'm
questions,
just kidding.
right?
Totally kidding. So I think as this space evolves, we'll see things happen like you've seen in other sites like dating services, for example. We started with very generic dating services in the beginning, and everybody's going to come to this online dating service, and they're going to find the love of your life. It's going to be really good. And then you start seeing that thing break down into different segments and different niches and different focuses, right? So, for example, our platform is really focusing on the Midwest. The Midwest market, we know it well. We've got a lot of relationships there. We think the investor that is in that area is a little more cautious than maybe those on the coast. I talked to my friend DJ over there. He says, "Where are you in the Midwest? I fly over that all the time," type thing. So people on the coast, East and West Coast, don't necessarily know what's going on in the Midwest, but strong jobs growth, strong manufacturing, and we're really focusing on that area. I'm going to leverage that momentum to bring in that investor base and really give strong returns on different type of asset base. So we're really going after that market. So not that the other players aren't there. They tend to be at a little higher level or a different instrument, but we're going to do equity and debt in that area, and that's where we're focused.
Awesome. As a member and a resident of flyover country?
Yes.
Minneapolis, is that near Chicago? Yes, yes it is. I love that. We always joke in Minneapolis that a startup in California is two guys in a garage, and a startup in Minnesota is a spinoff from 3M.